SNT appears to be on a winning streak as of recent with their Q25-240 RTR and FPV cars. Well, they're back again with a new release, this time the R27. And this one appears to pay homage to one of the most popular sports cars ever created. So let's get into it. All right, so here's the box right here, and in typical SNT fashion, this thing is beautifully designed, guys. The graphics on these boxes are spectacular. The artist doing the job on this is amazing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this one here is paying tribute to one of the most popular sports car ever created. This is the Nissan Skyline GTR Hakosuka car. And it's funny because I did a review on this car recently while I was at the SEMA show in Las Vegas. So to see this car right here, it brings back tons of memories. Now they're pretty smart to put this car in here because this is a very popular car, and this one here really does tug on your emotional strings, especially if you're a car guy. Now in the front here, you have a picture of the actual car. This one here is blue. Now this car comes in 3 colors at the time of filming. Obviously the blue, white, and then silver. In this case, I have the blue one, and as you can see, you have this big old FPV camera on here, so we do have the FPV version at this time. Now on the side here, you have all the specifications for this new R27 car, but the highlights are, this is a 1/100 scale car. This one has a battery life of 60 minutes. It has functional lights all around the car. This one has warm gears, which makes the drivetrain a little bit quieter and produces more power and torque. Now, I've done a full review on this chassis when I did review on the Q25. It's a very similar chassis. And if you want more information about all these specifications and parts on this car, I'll leave that video linked down below and above so you can take a look at it. So let's open this box and see what's inside. Right there. All right. Oh, it's a sleeve. Oh, see, I'm messing up already. Let's take the sleeve off. There we go. Just their Q25. So it looks like they reused the box of the original car and they put a sleeve over it. No big deal. This thing is still a nice design. I'll leave this while you can't see it. This is a really nice design. You gotta show off this thing. All right. Welcome to Microcosm, a different world, just like the first one. Here's your instruction manuals. You have a full manual as well. Some nice paintings of these cars. These are all the 240s. And here is the car. Let's pull it out. This is amazing. This is gonna be pretty cool, guys. Now they have the ability to remove the actual FPV on the car. If this all pans out, you could probably transfer this camera to another device. We'll see. You have a USB-C cord here, USB-A to USB-C cord. Here is your radar that we talked about earlier, and this thing is a big step up in improvement and in quality from the Q33 car that was released almost a year ago. Really nice. All right, let's get this goggles out. And then you have 2 ramps in here as well. So if you want to go jump some ramps, then you have these 2 ramps right here. Here's your goggles. It says SNT, the World Micro Car. And we'll talk a little bit more about this. This is going to be really cool, especially if this is your first FPV device, to have this goggles on here. And this is a full-fledged goggle, so you can use this even with your FPV drones. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this R27. Now, this isn't a glass case here or like a plexiglass case, so this is pretty cool as a display case in case you don't want to drive this or you're finished driving this. You can just put this on your shelf or your table and have this beautiful thing displayed. Now, as I said before, this thing is the blue version of it. Let's see if we can get this open. Wow. I want to weigh these. Let me get the scale. This one feels a little bit heavier to my touch. So here's my scale right here. Let's zero this thing out. As I said, this thing feels a little bit heavier. Let's try the Q25-240. This one here is the non-FPV. This is the RTR. So this one's probably going to be the lightest. 25 grams. And then the one with the FPV. 29 grams. Not a big, oh, 30 grams. So this is 5 grams more. This one feels heavy. Let's see what it says. So this one is 30 grams without the camera, so it is heavier a little bit. Yeah, 6 more grams. So this one is significantly, I don't say significant, but it is heavier. I can definitely feel it. That's pretty cool. I wonder how that's gonna behave with the ride qualities. Now, this thing here is beautiful, guys. This is the Nissan Skyline well, I say it's Nissan Skyline GTR. This is the R27. But it does pay homage to that older car. This thing looks like the business, and this blue color here. Now, this car here did have a color like this. A blue look is called a Bayside Blue. So this is something similar to that. So pretty cool. Let's see if I can attach this FPV cameras. You have these little 4 pins on here, and it should line up with this as well. And you have 2 magnets on here. So I think that's how it's gonna attach. And then, oh, I can feel it. This is a strong magnet. Woo-wee. That's it. That seems pretty smart. That's a cool design. Now, the big thing of this car here is the details. As I said before, I did a full review on the 240, and that one has the similar chassis. This one here has a longer body, but the wheelbase is the same thing. Now, the thing here that's really cool here is the suspension here is independent rear suspension. This one also has warm gears on here, so for both the drivetrain. Now here's the radio here for the R27, and this one here is similar to the 240. Now it's a lot better than the Q33 in the fact that you have a softer touch material here for the steering. It's offset canted, so it's more comfortable when steering. And then you have this quarter 20 screw here in case you want to add a monitor. Say this doesn't fit you, or you have glasses, then you can put a monitor on here and this should still work. You also have all these buttons on here for more functionality, which we're gonna talk about right now. So let's open up this battery compartment and see what's in here. Surprisingly, this one here has AAA batteries. Now, this can also be powered by an 18650 battery. My other one with the 240 did have the, let's take a look at it, did have the 18650 battery. And there you go, it's the same thing. It fits, or 3 AAA batteries. And then you also have a USB-C cable or port here to actually charge the car. Now that we have the radio ready to go, we have the car ready to go with the camera. Let's set up our goggles. I'm sure if you're getting this might be your first time using the goggles. Now, if you have an existing goggles, this would also work with this. Is the same kind of frequency, so 5.8 gigahertz on the frequency. So that should also work. So the first thing you're gonna do is put your antennas on here. If this is your first FPV system, you never wanna power on these goggles or any kind of transmitting or receiving devices without having the antennas on here. These things are designed to have the antennas hooked up, so that's what we're gonna do before we power this whole thing on. All right, now, the cool thing about these goggles also is that it has a built-in DVR. So if you're gonna race with your friends or compete with other friends, you can actually record the footage on an SD card. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna get an SD card, put it in here, and record what I see from this car. Now, there's some buttons on here, and you wanna get familiar with these buttons to know how to control this goggles. First of all, you have the power switch right here. Hopefully you can see that. These things should be able to collapse as well. There you go, they can collapse. Your power and your menu buttons right here. Now, if this thing here doesn't come paired to this goggles, you can do a scan and search for it. You also have your record button, channels, you can change the channels, and then you can also change the bands as well. All right, so I'm gonna power on the car first. There's a warning sticker in here, and as I talked about earlier, you don't wanna rotate these wheels or change the steering by hand because the worm gears could get damaged if you do it by hand. And there you go, SNT. There's a nice, wow, this, are you kidding me? Wait, hold on. Now, it looks like there's some carbon fiber on here. Maybe because this is a sports car. They have probably made some slight changes compared to the other cars. The other cars were plastic, as you can see right here. All right, there's a switch on here, one button on here. You press it to power on the car, and this thing comes to life. Look at all the lights on this thing. Let's power on the radio, and it should be bound automatically. We have steering, looks good. Let's power on our goggles, and we have an image in here as well. So let's start recording. Here I am. What do you guys think about the image? FPV image. This is gonna be your image from the car. Looks really, really good. All right, so we have the lights on here, and you have these buttons on here. Now, the first one here is for your headlights. You can put it on. Let's put this on the light off first. I wanna put that off first. And the headlights are already on. You can make it brighter or off. So that's pretty cool. Now, you saw the lights were already on when I put this on. You can put the underlights on, red, purple, blue, green, a light blue, orange, and off. Okay, so we talked about the front lights and the underlights. Let's take a look at the rear lights on this car as well. Now, say you're driving and you want to come to a stop. Say, for example, you're driving, you release the throttle, and boom, you have brake lights on here. This thing is pretty realistic. And the same thing is true for reversing. You stop, you get the brake lights as well. Now, let's say you want to turn, or say you came to an intersection, you want to turn left or right. You do that, and then you have turn signals on this car. It is pretty realistic, pretty cool. Same thing for the right side. Now on the back, you have a power on, power off that can change the power output from the rear wheels. So 70% power or 100% power, depending on what you have here. And then you have an on and off switch. This little USB-C port here is the charging to charge the car. You can do that in the field. and that's pretty cool. Let's see how this works on the table here. Let's put a car in the middle here and see what the turn radius is and see how this thing works. That thing is fast. All right. Not bad. All right, guys, let's put this off as well. This thing has a pretty full battery on it, so that's pretty cool. You can collapse your goggles here, your antennas for easy packing. Carry this thing around. And yeah, if you wanna wear this obviously to drive your cars, you can adjust it with these straps. I don't think this is adjusted for me specifically, but let's try it. I know these things aren't glasses friendly, so if you have, if you wear glasses, it has to be really small glasses, guys. It probably will not fit in here. I'm familiar with these goggles. I actually have some of these. Not bad. Now there's a little bit of light leak, but this is a really like a beginner kind of goggles. Everything is compact. You get a lot for your money because this one doesn't have the DVR in it, and you do have the SNT branding on here. All right, so here they are. Here's the Q33, this is the R27, the 240, and the 240 with the FPV. Now, at the time of release of this R27, Diatone and SNT did release also a track as well. I did get this track specifically for the R33. If you want links to that, I'll leave it down below. But Diatone and SNT has just released an actual track for these cars. So let's take a closer look at that right now. As for right now, I haven't seen it on the website, but here it is right now. If that do becomes available, I will link it down below as well. And I'm sure this will be available in a short time. Wow, this is legit because this one is pretty big, just like the one I have as well. All right, so here's the track. Pretty nice. It really is perfect for a table of this size, and I probably should have opened up. Oh man, this is sick. It has, oh man, let's take a look at this. You have the grid, you have P1, P2, P3, and P4. You can put the cars on here. Let's just say the GTR, the Skyline was the one that qualified first. Let's just say the 240 was number 2. Let's go 4 here and 3 for the Q33. All right, so you can see how this will be really, really fun if you have this in a smooth surface. You have the FPV in your goggles and you're racing among friends like these 4 cars right here. It's the perfect amount of cars too for this track. Let's say before you have a drift circle right here. Now these things probably cannot drift, especially on this textured material, but that's pretty cool. Maybe they'll invent a drift car in the future. Let me know what you think about this R27 car. Does this change your perception of these small micro FPV cars? I do think so, guys. I think they're improving the cars every iteration. Every time they have a situation where they can improve this, they're improving it. Even with this retractable FPV camera just comes off. So that's it, guys. Links for all these things, the cars and the racing track, will be listed down below. So thanks for sticking around this long video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.
Perfect.